Welcome to the Startup Support Surgery podcast, where we light the entrepreneurial spark in medics and healthcare professionals. Join me, Dr. Jo Watkins, GP, business coach and co-founder of The How People, on a journey to discover where your medical know-how meets the business world. This will help you find some clarity on how to balance work, passions and family so that you can gain more freedom and control over your life, but also continue to help people, which is actually why most of us went into medicine to start with. Embarking on this entrepreneurial adventure is not easy. It is a roller coaster of emotions, but it's hugely rewarding and exciting in the process. Drawing on my 20 years of blending medicine and business as a GP, I am here to share experiences, insights and lessons. Expect lively chats, expert interviews and real-life stories from medics who have taken their own path. Let's break free from traditional healthcare norms and explore more innovative ways of making a real difference to people's health and well-being, along with paving the way for a brighter future for us as healthcare professionals. Oh, don't miss my free PDF called From Stethoscope to Startup, which is an 11-page guide in the show notes full of practical help and advice. This is your roadmap to kickstarting your journey with us. Enjoy the show. Today, I am thrilled to be talking to my first ever coaching client, Dr. Nerys Frater, founder of the Lifestyle Clinic. Nerys is a 2-day-a-week GP partner who lives in the beautiful Carmarthenshire area in South Wales, along with her husband, 2 boys aged 10 and 8, and a couple of pigs. Nerys has a story that every GP who wants to embark on an innovative service within their own practice, GP cluster, or in a private capacity needs to hear. In this discussion, Nerys talks us through her own journey from securing some funding for a group NHS project through to running a successful online business for patients with pre-diabetes and diabetes. Nerys did not wake up one morning wanting to be a businesswoman, but she found a repeated problem for her patients when trying to help them and was passionate enough about a solution to put the work in to make something happen. That led her to growing a group program and subsequently reaching out to me in January 2022 for support in the next stage of her growth. Enough from me, let's hear from Nerys and find out more about this. Hi Nerys, welcome to the show.
Hiya Jo, how are you?
I'm very well. It's lovely, lovely, lovely to have you here. And as soon as I decided I was doing a podcast, you were right at the top of my list of people I needed to speak to immediately. So thank you.
Oh, no worries.
Before we turn the clock back a little bit, what we're going to do is I'd like you to just tell me what you do now, what your lifestyle medicine clinic is about, and then we will turn the clock back and you can tell us a little bit about how this all began.
Yeah, cool. So as you said, I work 2 days as a GP partner in Ammanford, and the rest of the time I founded the Lifestyle Clinic, which is a clinic designed to help people reverse their type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, or even just lose weight using the low carb method. So created an online clinic to help people achieve those goals.
Okay, fantastic. And this has been going on for how long now?
Oh, do you know what? I think the idea was born in 2017. It's changed a lot, but that's when I had the idea. I started 8 to 9 months later. Okay,
so tell me about your journey from being a GP, from doing your day job to now running this predominantly an online business. Talk me through that. How did that even come about?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Even as a GP trainee, I'd always had an interest in kind of weight loss, obesity, that type of thing. And I had said as a registrar, I'm going to set up a clinic one day, and forgot about it because obviously exams and kids and everything happened. And it was just one day in surgery, I just decided, I can't do this anymore. You know, this is all wrong. I've just done a morning surgery. I've just seen the same thing, one after another, everything related to lifestyle. So people were overweight, advising them, come on guys, you need to lose weight, it'll help your blood pressure, everything. And it just seemed like nobody was doing anything, patients and doctors. I would recommend a referral to dietitians, and patients weren't that keen, I found. Plus, at that time, back in 2017, there was a 2-year waiting list locally. So it's just kind of, we couldn't really help people do the exact thing that I thought was a no-brainer. Me dishing out medication is not, I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't working for patients or for me. I was becoming burnt out. I was fed up, basically. And I literally one morning had a tantrum, and I was quite a new GP, a salaried GP, and I went up to the practice manager's room and just said, I need to start a weight loss clinic. I mean, no idea how this worked. And obviously, looking back, I'm so naive. You can't just start a clinic, can you? Because we're too busy doing other stuff. Who would fund that? Anyway, my practice manager told me straight, and he said, but if you do want money, why don't you go to their local cluster, which I think are called primary care networks in England? There's a meeting next week. Why don't you go and pitch to them? So I thought, okay. I don't know where I had the audacity from, looking back. But anyway, I was naive, and off I went with my little PowerPoint presentation to the local cluster, and I said, right, we need to sort this problem out. I need to sort this problem out. I think I need to start a clinic and give me money. And you know what? I don't know if it was a quiet time or what. And they just said, yeah, fine.
Really?
Knock yourself out. Yeah. And actually seeing other people's experiences and hearing other people's stories, it's not that easy to do that. So I think I was probably very enthusiastic about the whole thing. And the GPs could see that is a huge problem. So yeah, that's where I started. So I got funding. It did take 8-9 months for the funding to come through. And that is where kind of my golden time was, because I knew what we were doing now wasn't working. So I wanted to come up with something new. And oh gosh, I spent hours and hours reading, watching YouTube videos. I signed up for, as us medics do, signed up for a diploma in weight management, which is a postgrad diploma for doctors. And gosh, worked that year just to try and just to have an idea what to do, because of course medical schools skipped over lifestyle. And gosh, I found it absolutely fascinating how the human body reacts to weight loss, how it resists weight loss and all of this. And I came across the low carb diet, and I remember the moment I heard about it, I read about the theory, and I thought, gosh, I've got to do this. I've got to try this. Okay. So that's where the idea, that's where we started. And I remember we started in the waiting room of the neighbouring surgery, because it was funding for the whole 8 practices in our cluster. And I started off, ironically, with 10 patients with type 2 diabetes. So I had my perfect clientele for this brand new clinic. And do you know what? That first group, we had 10. 2 of them had come off medication within 2 weeks. And I was seeing them weekly, so I could support them. I was doing group sessions. I didn't know there was such a thing as group consultations and all these models that are now everywhere. I just did what I thought I should do. And then I would see a few of them on, if they're on insulin or glycoside individually to make sure they were safe, because the blood sugars were literally dropping. Right.
Well, this is just the most powerful and best story for anyone out there who is working as a doctor and is finding something frustrating. Because what you've described is essentially coming across a problem that repeats itself day after day after day in front of your eyes. And I think we all can relate to that. The difference between you and the rest of us is that you went out there with whatever it was, whether it was brazen confidence, whether it was enthusiasm of being a young GP, whatever it was, you went out there and you didn't let anything stop you. And there's so many messages in what you've just said. You didn't have a fear of showing up to that PCN meeting. There was nothing telling you that you were not qualified enough. You hadn't done enough. You didn't have enough letters after your name, that anybody was going to think that you were stupid. You know, you weren't overthinking this process. You basically were like, this is a problem. I'm not doing this anymore. I want to set this up. I'm going to go and show up and see what happens. And that chain of events led you to be able to then invest the next 8 to 9 months in learning how you were going to do it. But I just think that's such a great example of the fact that you have to be really brave to do something like this. Right?
Oh, I agree with you. You do have to be brave, and you do have to develop a skill of switching off that inner voice that's doubting you and putting you down all the time, because I think everything happened quickly for me. And so I announced my intent, and within a week I had this opportunity. And these cluster meetings happen every 3-4 months, so you know that it just happened that way. But I'm not saying afterwards I had loads of doubts and loads of thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done? I don't know anything. But actually, you find a way, don't you, when you're under pressure? You do find answers. And funnily, looking back now, I just feel now that I was meant to be doing that at that time.
Yeah.
That it was, I don't know, that it was my purpose to do that.
Yeah.
I certainly did never set out to think I want to start a business. I didn't even start off thinking I could reverse diabetes. It was not even known in 2017. I never would have even thought that this was possible. It's just because I had to think of a solution. I could see the problem, and I thought there must be a different way.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to that point. So at the moment we've got a problem, we've got a solution, and then we've done this, this sort of let's get down and dirty and in it, and let's try something. And I love the fact that you basically had a group of your perfect clients, a group of 10 people in a group consultation method, all with the same problem, all going through the same process to get to the same endpoint. And that's 7, 8 years ago. That was probably before anything like that was going on. So you saw these changes being made, you saw these blood sugars altering, you were still very much in an NHS environment, funding, were there any frustrations with dealing with, requiring funding to come in to be able to offer something? Was that where the frustration started? Tell me how that we got from where we were then to where we are now. Let's go through that journey.
Huge frustrations all the way through, So when you're innovating, which is essentially what I was doing, I don't think this had been done in the UK at this point, as far as I understand, certainly not locally. So this is an innovation, and for an innovation to work, you need to have freedom to tweak. So that first group had a completely different experience to a group 2 years later, because what I did, this is embarrassing to say, but what I did was lecture those patients at the beginning. So I called it education session, and I would educate them for an hour, and it was really technical and medical. But I could see I was open enough to think to and humble enough to know that I was learning as much as they were, and I could see it was difficult for them. I could see they were glazing over. Nevertheless, they still managed to do it. Obviously I was doing something right. But after each session, so for example, if I did a session, I always did Saturday morning, Wednesday evening, the next day I would always go home and I would spend an hour tweaking what I'd done, depending on their response. So it was transforming quite rapidly in that first year. Lots of, it's very early on, it stopped being just about low carb, because sleep and stress and all the lifestyle aspects are really, really important, especially for people with diabetes, because it's a nasty condition, living with it every day. So it completely evolved. And for most of it, I was given that freedom to grow and evolve and improve, because by the end of that, 2-3 years down the line, 1 in 3 people were reversing their diabetes within 3 to 6 months. So this was huge. I can't remember. It wasn't really happening at the beginning, but it was certainly happening because I'd been given this freedom. The problem, of course, the NHS does not really have capacity or understanding, or it's not geared up for innovation. And I'm being really blunt here, and I've had many a conversation with leaders, and it is a slow moving machine. And I had a lot of anger at the time because I was being criticised. Lots of negativity against the low carb diet. It's not standard, it's not evidence based, which I could argue each time because there was plenty of evidence. I wasn't doing anything dangerous here, but I was being treated as if I was. So I was really struggling, not only to carry the whole weight of the clinic and the patients and trying to get more patients in and helping the ones and blah blah blah. I was also dealing with criticism and struggling. How it's very difficult to run a clinic if you've only got 1 year worth of funding. How can you recruit staff to help you with that admin burden? Do you know, things then started to come into play with it, and I found myself becoming quite negative, and that's not me, you know. I didn't want to be going into arguments with people and getting frustrated, and it got really heavy and it got really hard towards the end of the NHS funding.
Yeah. Okay. So when did this change happen? I mean, I looked back the other day, and the first email I ever got from you was in January 2022, which, when we're recording this podcast, is 2.5 years ago. So what changed, and what prompted you to first send that email, which was basically saying, you know, I need to make this a business and I need to make this work. How can you help me?
Actually, it was never like that. All I knew, because I don't have any business experience. So the idea of becoming a businesswoman is not something I ever wanted, and I still don't identify with that. All I knew was that this was stressful. That's all I knew. I didn't know there were such things as coaches, and I didn't think there were any mentors around. In my head, I had this idea that I was just doing this new thing nobody else in the world had ever thought of, which is really naive. But I had no insight into what was available. But we were both at that time in a group of little lifestyle medics. So in South Wales, we had this WhatsApp group just because I knew the girl who set it up, and I think the same for you, Jo. And you probably don't remember this, but conversations were going on. You know, these people were joining the BSLM, and, you know, I just come across them. And you actually had mentioned, does anybody want any help? And I just thought, yeah, I want help. But I had no idea with what I needed help with. I just wanted a friend, to be honest with you, or somebody to talk to, because bless my husband, but he's not a medic. He doesn't get it. And nobody in work cared. I just was on my own, and I'm an extrovert. I need to talk things through. And I had nobody to talk things through with. So when you said that, that's what I wanted. And then I realised that, yes, I needed that, but I needed so much more as well. And I think that's been my journey throughout. I've never really known what I needed. It's other people that have pointed that out to me. So you put that message, and I just thought, hell yeah, I want some help here. So I emailed you, and I think you were a bit taken aback by that, because I don't think you were expecting anybody to take you up.
No, I wasn't at all.
Yes, because the reply was a bit, I'm not sure.
I think in the same vein, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to be able to help you. So I think this is another demonstration of that whole, you know, unknown unknowns in this journey, from taking things out of what we're used to and out of the GP consultation, and taking either our passions or our expertise, or quite often both, and finding an innovative approach to helping people outside of the surgery. I think I wasn't sure how my knowledge of growing a business, building a brand, making granola, running a holiday let, like, was going to be transferable to running the kind of thing you were doing. But I knew I could help you with some of the basics. And I think this is a really good example of how this evolves. And it's funny talking to people I've worked with. It's kind of like, it's quite often you don't wake up in the morning going, do you know what I want to be as an entrepreneur? What I want to be as a businesswoman? You actually just want to be able to help people in a sustainable fashion that has the biggest impact on your patients and fits for you as a mum and somebody that wants to spend time with their children. And it's building that sort of life, isn't it? And you don't really know that you want to do that at the beginning.
No, but what's funny then, so COVID happened and I was told all cluster projects have to be stopped, right? And I thought, well, this is crap, because these people are still ill. And in fact, they need help more now than ever before. So I kind of ignored that and just thought, well, if I can't do it face to face, then I'll do it online. So I just recorded my videos, didn't know anything about it, and just, I don't know, I just recorded the videos and thought there must be a way of getting them to see this and to do it as an online course. And of course, that's when things started to change, because you could see that I had these videos. And you then basically said to me, well, you've got an online course. And it's like you picked me up and put me on another different road. And I realized, online courses is a thing. And like other people are doing it. And suddenly my world was open to loads of other people doing the same thing with the same problems, with the same feelings and worries and self-doubt. And that's when I was like, oh, that's why I've met Jo, because do you know what I mean? It was part of that. I honestly thought I was the only human being doing this. and how stupid was I at that time? But it was just, it's very much about, I really do prioritize now having a mentor or a coach, because you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And I don't know how long that would have taken me to actually, for the penny to drop that, there are templates, there are ways of doing this. There is, my mind was blown from there on.
And we just had, that year was fantastic. I absolutely have loved working with you. And now, we're very much, peer support for each other. We know that we understand the same language. We often learn from the same people. We have the same mentors in our lives. And I think this is another thing, is that what you need at the beginning is not necessarily the same thing that you need 12 months later, 24 months later, 36 months later. This is a period of growth for you most people listening to this are going to be medics or healthcare professionals who probably sometimes don't feel that there's anything else that they could do or any other way. And on this process of learning, you will need different people at different times. And I think, I see my role as that initial support and maybe that sort of like encouragement to keep going. Because there were times at that point where you weren't sure it was going to work, and I needed to encourage you along.
I needed loads of hand-holding. I don't need that as much anymore, but I needed a lot of hand-holding. I needed a lot of just listening, because you're running a business, I've now come to realize, is a lot about your mind and managing your thoughts like that, especially when the business you're running is promoting yourself, because that's what we're doing. We're wanting people to pay to speak to us, aren't we, or to receive our coaching. And that actually is quite confronting when you have to promote yourself. And I think a lot of medical training, well, you don't do any of this, do you? The patients come to you trying to get away from people. There's too many patients normally. and then you're exposed. You're on stage on your own with, completely out of your depth, and your mind takes over. When I met you, I had not posted on Facebook for 10 years. In fact, I was never on there. I didn't have an account on Instagram. And now my whole life is posting on Facebook and Instagram, because I've realised if I want to help people, they need to know what the problem is. I never would have come to this conclusion on my own, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I needed so much support to do that.
Absolutely, and we all do. But it's knowing where to get that support from, isn't it? And we and understanding that it's not the obvious things. It's not the the shiny stuff, the website, the logo. It's just not about that. It's a deep mindset shift from where we have been programmed all our lives through our education system and through training as medics into this different space. And it doesn't just happen. And I think especially for somebody like you, where this has evolved from a really, having a massive passion about a problem. I think I'm probably somebody that's been more looking to run a business. I think I have had that entrepreneurial, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but my uncle was a business person, but the rest of my family were medics. So I went into the medical route, but I've always thought that I'd run something different. But it's evolved for you. And, I think that's really important for people to recognize, because I think most medics would identify with how you feel. So I think that's really important for you to have shared. What about the struggles of running a business, and the highlights? Maybe a couple of good things and a couple of difficult things.
Yeah, I liken this journey a lot to general practice. So you train to be a doctor, don't you? And you hone your skills to become a GP. And then when you become a partner, you realise, oh my word, the medicine is nothing. You have to learn how, because it's a business. You have to learn how practices make money, how you manage staff issues. And for me, anyway, maybe not for you, Jo, but for me, it's the business side that I now enjoy about general practice, because the medicine has become a bit, well, dare I say, boring. It's never boring in general practice. You got that, but I enjoy learning. Don't most doctors? I mean, we've always had to learn, haven't we? And we've always had to learn at a pace. So although I never wanted to be a businesswoman, that's the bit I now love. So I love helping people, obviously, and that's given me a huge boost. But I'm constantly learning, so it's satisfying that. The lifestyle medicine I've been doing for years now, I know how to get somebody out of diabetes. I know how to do it within weeks. I know how to de-prescribe and safely do it. But I don't know how to market. I don't know how to sell, and I don't know how to run a business. So that's been very much the focus of the last few years, is on the business side of it. And I can tell you, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And if you would have told Nerys in 2017 you're going to be running a business, I would probably not have started, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's been kind of coming in increments, and now I'm in too deep. So whatever comes my way, I just think, oh, okay, fine, I'll have to learn that. Video editing is the most recent one. I'm thinking, oh, I can't be bothered. And then I just think, well, do you know what? But it's fun.
Yeah.
And there's so many different aspects out there. So there's the finances, the staff management, creating goals, marketing, website. But it is so much fun. And to the point with me that I don't want to delegate it. I enjoy it. I want to do it myself. I love fiddling with websites. I love being on Canva, creating a post.
Well, we could talk about this forever, because these are the classic things that we all procrastinate over, don't we? When we now get into the, like you say, into the stuff that actually some of us, particularly those more creative, and then there's so many creative medics, stick them in Canva for half an hour and they're absolutely loving it. And, I remember saying to somebody quite wrongly not so long ago that I actually find like working on my business is a bit like self-care for me, particularly when I'm making leaflets or flyers, because I just love the whole process. It's like colouring in or something. Obviously, that business is not self-care, I realise, but, it's really enjoyable. Yeah.
I find it quite healing, actually. And then I'm sure you were going to ask this anyway, so I'll save you the thing. I was burning out as a GP. I remember I was so exhausted, and frustrated, and we were just dealing with 50 people a day, you know. And I just didn't feel, I just wanted to get through the list. I just wanted to get home. And then when you were home, you just spend your time recovering from that day. I don't feel like that at all anymore. And it's because I get my outlet of doing it how I want to do it and how I think will help people and how does help people, that I know I have a different attitude towards my patients. I never think, oh, I've got 50 to go through today. Luckily, we've improved our services and managed to employ people now, so we're not in that situation. However, I will go into a consultation thinking, how can I help somebody, rather than how can I get a move on as quickly as possible. And it sounds really horrible that I was thinking that way, but I think when you're burning out and you're fed up, that's how you do think. So I enjoy my work much, much more. Some of that, yes, is to do with that I'm only doing it 2 days a week, so I can give everything to that 2 days. But I wouldn't have that chance financially or otherwise if I wasn't doing this.
Yeah. And that is again a theme I hear again and again. And actually, is it not better for the patients, for the staff, for your family, and for everybody that you show up with that sort of mindset and attitude for 2 days a week than being a burnt out 3 or 4 day a week GP? Not to mention the innovation and the changes and the impact that you're making, the reversal of this, the pre-diabetes and diabetes for patients up and down the country now, because you're running big, cohorts of people coming into group programs. It's just amazing. It really, really is. You're a role model to everybody that is wanting to make a difference. I honestly, we could talk for hours, but before we wrap up, because I want you to be able to tell us where people can find you, etc. What I'd love you to do is just give us 3 things that you would maybe say to somebody that's just done some training or is wanting to help people differently or learns about lifestyle medicine or maybe trained as a coach, whatever, who is kind of entering into this personal brand space, this business space. Maybe they don't identify as an entrepreneur or a business person. What would you say to that person, 3 sort of top tips for their navigating their way through running a business?
I think number 1 for me, and this is something I'm going to live by from now on, is to get a coach or a mentor or somebody that's done it before. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on your podcast too. But that has been the single biggest transformation for me, is I don't know what I don't know. And if you could, you can do it without, because there's a cost, isn't there? But I think it's an investment, and it's a tool to fast forward results.
Mm-hmm.
And what they can do is transform your vision and goal into steps and reality, and to push you if needed, and to hold your hand, and to cry with you when it's all going wrong or you doubting yourself. I think that is the single most important thing. The second, I would say, is learn about marketing, learn about sales. Don't do more courses on medicine. I think we all do this. We all think, we haven't got enough medical knowledge. I did it. I went to do an obesity diploma, and has it helped me? It's given me a qualification. Didn't help me run a business though. My brother was saying this. He's a plumber, and he'd gone into business on his own, and he spent his money on learning more plumbing skills. And he was saying, I should have learned business skills. So I would invest. That's your learning. Get your learning needs satisfied through doing business and marketing, sales. That's what you need, because you have not got those skills. And those skills, sales skills, help you with patients, because if you think about it, we're selling medication or we're selling a lifestyle change all the time. So my mind was blown when I was learning these techniques, because I thought, gosh, we needed these. So I think it's made me a better doctor.
Well, they're 2 very, 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 very important things. And I agree wholeheartedly in both of them. And I think, just picking up on stuff you said earlier, I think a third one that you may have demonstrated, even if you don't think that it's important, is not overthinking and getting out there and doing. and reaching out to people, being brave, sending the email. In the How People, we interview people, and quite often the advice to their teenage self, which is what we do in the How People membership, somebody said, send the email. If there's something you want to do, if there's someone you want to talk to, just ask, because that will open a door potentially. And I think that's what you've done. And also, I think at this point, we have to say that you did that for me. You said to me, look, this help that you've given me, this course, this coaching, this mentoring is invaluable, and you should go out there and you should help other people. And that gave me the encouragement. So this is why I wanted you to be, absolutely one of the first people that I spoke to, because it's a really powerful story in many ways, I think. So really, thank you so much for joining me today. How do people find out about what you do?
Yes, so I've got a website, www.thelifestyleclinic.co.uk. I am also very active on Facebook and on Instagram with the same name. So best places, if you've got a patient that has type 2 diabetes, also doesn't want to take medication, then I've got so many videos, so many downloads, free stuff that they can use just to get control of their own health, because that's what it's about, isn't it? Giving power back to the patients. They're not relying on us doctors to give them tablets. That's my aim. And then, of course, we've got I then offer courses, one-to-one coaching, but mostly group coaching to get people together to reverse their condition.
Fantastic. And we'll link all of that below, Nerys. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to a walk in the woods or on the hills with you soon. And thank you all for listening.
Oh, thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. To be honest, we could have talked for days. Nerys's advice to someone entering into this space is really, really sound. She suggests that all medics entering into this world need a coach and a mentor, and they need to invest in learning about sales and marketing and not more medical courses. This is where I come in. The Startup Support Programme and the Digital Doctor membership give you just that. This combines formal learning in recorded videos and an accompanying workbook with live coaching, mentoring, hand-holding and encouragement. As a special offer in September, I am offering these two programmes as a bundle to celebrate the BSLM conference in Newcastle. The first 20 people to sign up will also receive a free 45-minute one-to-one session with me and a guaranteed place on the online VIP Masterclass Day, which will be held on Monday the 30th of September with 5 fantastic online business experts. Please click on the link in the show notes below for full details. See you next time.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.